What if I told you that the most successful people in history weren't chasing money at all? That Einstein, Gandhi, and even Steve Jobs all discovered something far more powerful than wealth? Today, we're going to explore what happens when you stop chasing money and start pursuing real value instead. And by the end of this video, you might completely rethink what success actually means. But first, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly fulfilled? And I don't mean when you were just happy about a paycheck. I mean when you were genuinely satisfied with how you spent your day. We live in a society obsessed with money. From the moment we're kids, we're told to get good grades so we can get a good job, so we can make good money. The entire system seems designed around one singular metric: your net worth. But here's the paradox that's destroying millions of lives right now. Despite having more wealth than any generation in history, rates of depression, anxiety, and existential emptiness are skyrocketing. We have people making six figures who feel completely hollow inside. We have billionaires who are miserable. So what's going on here? The answer lies in understanding the difference between price and value. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. And most of us have been confusing the two our entire lives. Today I want to show you what happens when you flip the script entirely. I want to show you what happens when you stop asking how much money will this make me, and start asking how much value will this create for me. Let's start with a fundamental question that philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. The question is, what makes something valuable? Ancient Greek philosophers like Aristotle distinguish between two types of value. There's instrumental value, things that are valuable because they help you get something else. Money is the perfect example. Dollar bill isn't valuable in itself. It's valuable because of what it can buy. Then there's intrinsic value, things that are valuable in and of themselves. Things like love, wisdom, beauty, justice, and meaningful relationships. These things don't derive their worth from anything external. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people spend their entire lives chasing instrumental value. Things like money, status symbols, titles, while completely neglecting intrinsic value. It's like spending your whole life collecting keys while never bothering to find out what doors they open. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, discovered something profound in the concentration camps. He noticed that the people who survived weren't necessarily the physically strongest, or those who had the most resources. They were the ones who found meaning and value in their suffering. They were focused on something beyond themselves. This led him to conclude that the primary human drive isn't pleasure or power, it's meaning. It's the pursuit of real value. So what actually happens when you make this shift? What happens when you start prioritizing real value over money? Well, I've studied this phenomenon for years, and the changes are both subtle and revolutionary. Instead of asking what pays the most, you start asking what contributes the most. Instead of what can I get, you ask what can I give. This isn't just feel-good philosophy. It's a practical framework that leads to better decisions. Take someone like Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia. He recently gave away his entire company, which was worth $3 billion, to fight climate change. Did he become poor? Hardly. He became one of the most respected business leaders in the world. His focus on environmental value created more wealth than most money-focused strategies ever could. When you're not blinded by dollar signs, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. You also notice problems that need solving. You see ways to help people that others miss. You develop an intuitive sense for what actually matters. I remember talking to a friend who left his high-paying corporate job to become a teacher. Everyone thought he was crazy. But 5 years later, he told me something I'll never forget. I finally understand the difference between making a living and making a life. When you're not constantly calculating what people can do for you financially, you start building genuine connections. People can sense when you're focused on real value versus just trying to extract something from them. Now, I'm not suggesting you take a vow of poverty or ignore money entirely. That's not realistic, and it's not necessary either. Instead, I want to give you a practical framework for reorienting your life around real value. What actually matters to you beyond money? Is it family? Is it creativity? Is it justice? Is it health? Get specific. Write them down before making any major decision. Career moves, relationships, how you spend your time. Ask yourself, does this align with my core values? And does this create real value in the world? This doesn't mean work for free. It means choose the path that creates the most value and trust that the money will follow. In a market economy, sustained value creation almost always leads to financial rewards. Look at the most successful companies in the world. Apple didn't set out to make money. They set out to think different and create beautiful, intuitive technology. Google's mission is to organize the world's information. Amazon obsesses over customer value. Real value often takes time to compound. Relationship builds over years. Mastery takes decades. Impact accumulates. When you're focused on immediate financial returns, you often miss the bigger opportunities. Here's the beautiful paradox that most people miss. When you stop chasing money and start creating real value, you often end up with more money than you ever imagined. But more importantly, you end up with something money can't buy. A sense that your life matters, that your time here is meaningful. You're contributing to something larger than yourself. I'm not just pulling that out of thin air. The research backs this up. Studies show that people who find meaning in their work are more productive, more creative, and yes, often more financially successful. They have better relationships, better health, and lower rates of depression and anxiety. It's not that money becomes unimportant, it's that it becomes a byproduct of value creation rather than the primary goal. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great in theory, but I have bills to pay, have responsibilities. I can't just ignore money. And you're absolutely right. Transition to value-first living isn't about making reckless decisions or abandoning practical concerns. It's about gradually shifting your focus and trusting the process. Start where you are. If you're in a job you don't love but need the income, begin by finding ways to create value within that role. Look for problems you can solve, people you can help, processes you can improve. Often, this approach leads to promotions, new opportunities, or the confidence to make bigger changes. The fear of financial insecurity is real, but so is the risk of spending your entire life feeling unfulfilled. The question isn't whether change is scary, it's whether the cost of staying the same is worth it. So I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next week, I want you to try the value-first approach. Before making any decision, ask yourself, what would I choose if I were optimizing for impact rather than income? For meaning rather than money, you should start small. Maybe it's choosing to help a colleague instead of just focusing on your own tasks. Maybe it's spending time with family instead of working late for overtime pay. Maybe it's pursuing a creative project that excites you. Remember, you can't take your bank account with you when you die, but the value you create, the lives you touch, the problems you solve, that echoes through eternity. What kind of echo do you want to leave? Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new uploads.